A Peoria senior living facility is being fined thousands of dollars by the state after a resident choked and died last year. Taylor Fleming breaks down what you need to know. Taylor.
Lizzie, the Illinois Department of Public Health released their first quarterly report of 2026, which lays out which facilities have violated the Nursing Home Care Act. Several central Illinois care centers are being fined, including one where a fatal choking happened. At Sharon Healthcare Elms, located on North Rochelle Road in Peoria, a resident died on October 15th after choking on food. The Illinois Department of Public Health found that the facility failed to ensure that this person had enough supervision and diet management to prevent what happened. The skilled nursing facility is being fined $25,000 by the IDPH because of this incident. The IDPH uses the money they get with fines to monitor long-term care facilities and safeguard patients whether or not owners are cooperative. A family member brought this Elms resident food every week, but alleged to state investigators that they were never informed by nursing home staff that bringing outside foods could endanger the resident. October 15th, this family member brought the resident a sandwich. After eating it, he choked and died, though staff tried to save his life. 25 News reached out to Sharon Healthcare regarding the fatal incident via email, and we got no response. In medical notes available in public documents, nurses claimed the family member was aware that the resident was on a soft foods diet. The state did not find any documentation that family members were told about the resident's diet, and it was not in the resident's care plan. Other senior living facilities were fined for lesser violations this quarter, including the Loft Rehab of Peoria, Sharon Healthcare Willows, Sunset Rehabilitation in Canton, Acadia Care in Bloomington, Loft Rehab and Nursing of Normal, and Acadia Care of Morton. Lizzie?